I mean, you were even on Ellen DeGeneres, you were on Dr. Phil, just around dog training.
I had clients like Steph Curry and Kevin Hart. Kylie has the Dachshunds. They were barkers at first, right? But we calmed that down. A lot of dog issues are owner generated. People forget that these are predatory animals. Sometimes they forget that they're pack animals. They fail to socialize their dog, build trust for their leadership. Now the dog feels like they have to defend themselves and all they have is a fight or flight response. And when they're on leash, they can't flight, so they can only fight.
Can you introduce yourself as if someone else were introducing you?
Yeah, this is Jas, the well-known canine behaviorist dog trainer who trains all the celebrities and has the Netflix show.
So when you say celebrities, you're training most celebrities' dogs. Is that accurate?
A lot of celebrities. I mean,
really?
I train for pretty much everybody. You know, everything high ticket, mid ticket, low ticket type of offers for everybody. I'm really trying to, just cover everybody.
Yeah, everyone. Bases. So how long ago did you get into this? And then how did you get into dog training? Because for me, I guess I didn't really grow up with pets. My mom kind of hated cats and dogs and stuff like that. So how do you even get into something like this?
It was kind of a need. At the time, I've always been an animal person. And at the time, when I decided to actually make it a business, came from another business. So I was early in the cannabis space.
Oh, okay.
Right, and because you did it through medical in California, that was kind of like the medical.
Right. How many years ago was this? Like 15? Yeah, so it was a while ago.
2000.
Okay, cool.
Well, I was in the cannabis space in like 2005 to 2008.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right, and then what I did is I pivoted because I didn't want to be, it was like before it was all legit. So I was like, I probably need to go figure something out.
Did it feel like shady at the time?
Definitely was felt shady. And I didn't want to have guns, cash, and weed all in one place and go to jail. So I just decided that it was like best that I got dogs, and then I just kind of blended them into the business and kind of decided to let's do this dog thing all the way. Because when I was training protection dogs to protect the crop, I kind of just got gung ho crazy with the training and found a new passion, which was always a passion from a kid, but I just it was like the time to take it there.
So are you self-taught or do you go to college for this? Is there courses? Like how did you learn how to start training dogs? Like, is there a right way to do it? Is there a wrong way to do it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a lot of dogs growing up. I mean, even from the time I was a child, I came home from the hospital. My father and my mom, they had a contracting business, so they had dogs to protect the tools in New York. So I was born in New York, and then my mom and dad separated. I came to the Bay Area, grew up in the Bay Area, and I always just had a thing for animals, bro. It was one of the things like I just would, you couldn't keep my attention reading Tom Sawyer books. I had to, get into animals or something that kept my interest. Yeah. So dogs were just my thing. And then my mom started letting me collect pit bulls around like 9, 10 years old. I started bringing dogs home and it just was my thing, bro. I just liked having a lot of dogs. And I didn't have a big bunch of siblings, so.
Right. So how do you get access to so many dogs? Is it the fact that other people are bringing you their dogs? Or, because I see a lot of your videos, and I mean, you'll have 3 dogs on the video, you have 2. I mean, where are all these dogs coming from that you find?
Well, nowadays, my business, people just bring me their dogs, problematic dogs. But in my early days, I just have my own dogs. You just see someone selling them for a couple $100 and you end up bringing home or whatever. So I ended up, like I said, and I got into training them for protection. And then from protection, I kind of like turned into me now getting serious, like training police dogs and sport training, which is like kind of the elite version of like the Olympics of the dog trainer. And a lot of my football and athleticism from high school was able to transition over into being like a decoy. So I'm the guy who gets bit by the dogs in the protection work. And I was able to get into a lot of circles because of my athletic ability. So I was able to get some of the top-notch trainers around the world. And I basically learned all of this like real like top training from some of the top guys. And I was able to like put it all in a pot and stir it up and make my own thing, start helping a lot of other people.
So what's the average client like for you? Is it strictly protection, or is it someone who can't even, like get the dog to like shut up, or like, is it all variations? What's the average client?
I was heavy into the protection as a hobby, but most people, they don't need a protection dog. Most people can't handle a protection dog. Most people don't have the money for a protection dog, right? Okay. Because a very high-end dog. These are up to 25.
These are are they usually big dogs? Like, you're not gonna have anyone who has a small protection dog. They're always very big dogs.
It's got to be a man stopper, something like that. Be a canine, or a Rottweiler, something of some kind of mid to high big size. And but most of my clients are really more aggression based, more behavior issues. A lot of people with dogs that are very dominant, or dogs who are very anxious, and we have to kind of balance them out. And I think most people have that issue. That's my target market, is like problem dogs. I'm like more of a aggressive dog specialist.
I'm assuming, that's why I want to ask you, sometimes if I see a kid and he's being a little shithead, I'm assuming, the parents didn't like raise him the right way. Is it the same thing with dogs, or are some dogs just like harder to work with off the bat, or what's usually the reason the dogs are not trained the proper way? Or meaning, do they need to all be trained, or are they just naturally a more difficult dog?
Well, there's management, issues. Like certain people have certain management styles that are not good for the particular dog, right? So you might have a very hyperactive kid and you're going, no, Tommy, like that's not good. And then Tommy's just going to be like, and just keep running you over, So there's got to be rules and boundaries. There's got to be rewards and consequences. And you have to, shape. I mean, I have 2 children. I shape their behavior every day. Yeah. So it's about just, molding them in and reinforcing the things that you want them to do, and then blocking the things you don't want them to do, And it's just the same thing with dogs. Kids got to go to school. Dogs need to go to school.
Do you train the dogs differently based on maybe what the owner wants, or is it all pretty similar? So, for example, if I'm a personal trainer, I'm getting people in shape. Like ultimately, yeah, it might be different diets or workouts, but it's like, okay, you need a progressive overload. You need to move more. So, how much does the training differentiate? Based on the dog and what the owner may want?
So we base our training off the temperament of the dog. So there's 16 dimensions of temperament that we basically base the dog's whole characteristics around. It's everything.
So 16 different ways you could train it, basically.
No, there's 16 dimensions of a dog that we look at.
Got it.
So we look at everything from the dog's indoor and outdoor activity level, the dog's vigor and intensity, the behavior consistency, the dominance, the sociability around family members, sociability around strangers, sociability around kids, the dog's territoriality, the dog's learning rate, the dog's learning of obedience, the dog's learning of problem solving, the dog's watchdog ability, and the dog's guard dog ability. So you're looking at all of these things. When I look at a dog, I don't see the breed. I see those 16 dimensions of temperament. And then the training revolves around our 5-pillar system of obedience, socialization, agility, behavior management, and problem solving. So if we're trying to fix problems, we have to usually work on the foundation of the problem, which is lack of obedience, lack of socialization, lack of behavior management, and lack of confidence, which when we do with agility. So it's all about building confidence in the dog, at the same time building impulse control, building pack leadership, keeping the dog's expression high and happy, at the same time getting precision behavior. So it's like a mathematical equation that we just, it's a formula,
Oh, that's amazing. You have a show on Netflix called Canine Intervention. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh man, it's just came out 2021. Right after COVID, right on COVID. It came out right on COVID, pretty much. We actually stopped filming the show right when COVID started, and we did all of the editing, all in a remote editing and everything. But it was great, man. It was top 10 in 3 countries: Canada, London, and or Canada, England, and America. And it was dope. It was a huge commercial for my brand, man. It was dope. Yeah, and it was a good look, man. I mean, like, got a lot of recognition. I got a lot of love. Then I also got some hate, because anytime you're dealing with the pet industry, you're dealing with, kind of polarized approaches, Mm-hmm. But again, with my background and in-depth knowledge that I've learned all around, I can stand on anything that I teach, and I know it's the good shit. But of course, you're always gonna get the,
So there's a lot. I'm assuming there's a lot of different ideas and opinions on how you should train a dog.
Yeah, there is. And then there's the guys who are really the top of the top, who all usually agree on the same thing, right? Okay. So you have all these people who are like the peons, who all like want to be dog trainers, right? And they love dogs, but they haven't been at that elite level. They haven't dealt with the top of dogs, So it's like mechanics, right? You have guys who just change oil for Hondas, and then you have the Lambo shop, and everything is a lot more precision. You see, and it's the difference between a turbine engine and a reciprocating engine. Like, they're just 2 different machines. When you're used to dealing with this high level dog like that we deal with when we're dealing with like canines, police dogs, and high level sport dogs, that's a caliber of dog that these people they can't even touch. And they'll give bad information to people because they don't have that experience. And then their ego will tell them, oh, well, it's something wrong with this dog, where in fact, they just don't know the approach based on this dog's temperament. So, my field and my training allowed me to kind of cover a broad spectrum of front to back, whether it's a little Chihuahua all the way to a 200-pound dog, and anything in between.
Interesting. So what was the experience like getting a show on Netflix? That's pretty dope. I mean, most people can't do that. What was that whole process like? I'm sure it was intense.
To be honest, bro, it was so random. Like, I wasn't even looking for it. I mean, I had a pretty successful business. I mean, I had already, had clients like Steph Curry and Kevin Hart and a lot of ball players.
Like, how did that happen? So I know I don't want to take you off base, but how are you getting in touch with these celebrities? Like, how did that pick up?
Well, it's kind of like being young and within the hip hop urban community. You know what I mean? You see people, like they're my friends' friends. These guys are playing sports, and like some of my friends played sports, and I didn't go as far as I needed to go in sports, but my friends did, and then now they hooked me up with maybe somebody who was on their team or something like that.
And then would it just start snowballing?
Yeah, just your name gets out there. Really managing my reputation on Yelp, making content. Like I actually was like I was a YouTuber in 2009, and I made 3 episodes of A Day in the Life, and then I stopped making YouTube because Instagram came out.
Yeah.
Right. So I was a YouTuber a long time. So I was like pushing in social media. I was posting all the time. I was kind of, showing my life and showing a day in the life. So that was like the early days of my marketing were all through like social media early on. And I mean, of course, there's guys who took social media to a whole nother level. And sometimes I wish I would have, stayed in there and really focused. And I was just kind of building these brick and mortar businesses, kind of didn't allow me to go fully digital until like now, but yeah, man, it was a dope experience, man. Netflix was fire. I mean, it's crazy to just go in different countries and people know you and they're stopping you in restaurants and writing you, crazy fan mail and getting DMs galore. I mean, it was nuts, bro. It was nuts.
Well, yeah, and to me, I'm just not in the pet industry, so it's like on the outside looking in, it's crazy to me that I really think it's a unique business, and we'll get into that, but the fact that you built something like this around, dogs, like I guess I know it's out there, but I just haven't seen it to this level. And it's really cool that you've been on these big shows. I mean, you were even on Ellen DeGeneres, you were on Dr. Phil. I mean, that's to me like super impressive. And it's just around dog training and so forth is, super unique. So super kudos to you.
Thank you, bro.
What are some of the biggest mistakes that you see dog owners make? Like just in general, because you've worked with so many dogs. What are the things they're doing that you're just like, why are you doing that?
Well, when you overhumanize a dog, then you can contribute to the behaviors that you're trying to stop. And a lot of times not addressing situations, and they kind of snowball into bigger situations, not socializing your dog correctly enough, not holding the dog accountable to the obedience. So a lot of dog issues are owner generated. Some of them are genetic nature, some of them are nurture. So it's the lack of nurturing, and how you're supposed to raise a dog is a certain kind of nurture. Sometimes people forget that these are predatory animals. Sometimes they forget that they're pack animals. And so when they don't establish that dynamic and they have a strong tempered dog, then the dog tends to get a little bit on the wild side, or they fail to socialize their dog and build trust for their leadership. Now the dog feels like they have to defend themselves, and all they have is a fight or flight response. And when they're on leash, they can't flight, so they can only fight. So we have to teach the dog to tolerate and trust. And that's built up through getting the dog in more of a dopamine state and not being in that anxiety state, right? So most dogs suffer from anxiety. It's just because they're not comfortable. So once we get a dog to be confident and comfortable, then we get rid of the aggression.
So growing up, we didn't have pets for the most part, but later in life, I have 7 siblings. So like later in life, my mom chilled out a bit. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. My mom chilled out a bit, and we had these, I believe they're called Doxy pins, and they're just little small dogs, but we did not train.
Like Dachshunds?
Yeah, Dachshunds. Yeah.
I just trained Kylie Jenner, so I know all about Dachshunds.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And they weren't trained. They weren't trained.
Get barking all over the place, going off.
Wouldn't shut up. Yeah, wouldn't shut up, doing all that. So I'm assuming the average person does not train their dogs. Yeah. And is it just a lack of information out there, or is it just because people are lazy? Like, what's your take on why I'm assuming most people just don't train their dogs worth of shit, because I know we didn't.
There's just, again, there's a lot of wannabe dog trainers, right? There's a lot of people who just think because they've trained their dog, now all of a sudden they can go into business. It's not like something that's regulated, like getting your dental license or something like that. So it takes time, and you have to like actually pass tests, So a lot of guys just get in this game. But I think like certain like say for example, like Caesar, like he kind of like let it be known. He kind of like, hey, this can be fixed. And a lot of times people just dogs acting crazy, put them in the backyard, forget about them, right? But as the dogs become more part of the family, they're like, yo, we have to deal with this. I need someone to help me with this. And I think it's just growing as a business. I think it's just growing as a whole. Just getting people becoming more in tune with their animals. I mean, it's passing different cultures are starting to embrace dog ownership a lot more. You know, it's very big in the Latin community now, in the Asian community, where there was a lot of people who didn't even deal with dogs. I mean, as far as Arabs, it's like damn near bad luck to have dogs in the house. You see what I mean? Just as far as like superstition things go. So, you know, a lot of the dog culture is just growing because people are now embracing dog ownership, and you know, there's less kids and there's more dogs, right? Like, a lot of people aren't even having kids, so they always have a dog. There's 2.2 dogs per household, so there's just a shit ton of dogs that need training, you know. And a lot of people are rescuing dogs from around the world, so it's just it's unlimited amount of
there's a lot of dogs. I think I saw a reel on your timeline that said 24% of dogs get euthanized. Is that correct now?
There's a big percentage. I don't know exactly. I think I said 24% in Chicago that are coming in recently are having to be euthanized. Because what happens is the shelters get full, and then a lot of times the behavior issues, the dogs that have behavior issues, they don't know what to do, and they can't get them rescued, right? Yeah. And then a lot of times when the dogs go to the shelter, they get more, get more timid. So they become more aggressive, and then they have more behavior issues, and it just kind of snowballs into.
Is it an overpopulation problem where maybe someone didn't take care of their dog, and then they're kind of like out on their own, and then they just start having little babies? Like, what is there like an overpopulation problem with dogs right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people like are a little bit irresponsible with spay and neuter, or everybody wants to breed. They feel like they need a return on their investment. They buy one dog and they say, well, I want my dog's puppy, so I'm going to get another dog. And then, we're going to breed these dogs. Now they can't get rid of the puppies because everyone's, they're not legit breeders. And they're going to just, the time's going to creep up so fast. Dog's pregnant, have puppies, 8 weeks. If you got 10 dogs barking and growling and screaming.
8 weeks, that's it.
Well, yeah, that's all it takes for the dog to have the babies. And then 8 weeks later, they need to go home. So a lot of people just end up in a jam, and dogs just everywhere. So it's just kind of like, it's a problem. And it's really, really bad in different countries,
Getting more into the business side now, we talked a little bit about dogs. What does your business model look like? It sounds super unique. So you said you had some brick and mortar, you do online. Like, walk us through a little bit about how your business model works.
Okay, so I pretty much built it, my whole business model on a brick and mortar initially, right? Like, it's funny because when I first started my business, I didn't even know what scale meant. Right, I just knew I just needed to be the hottest brand, and I needed to be training the most dogs and just be the biggest, the biggest name in my community. But then I started to want to expand, and I would hire more trainers and not do so much of the training and teach a team and kind of grow a team. And then and then like I said, once my show came out, then I wanted to get another location, and I started to put out like online products. I made like a course and would sell it, but I didn't really know about like digital marketing to the degree. I wasn't really running ads. Everything was organic up to like 3 years ago, me actually starting to really run ads and stuff like that. So I just was, making content and staying pretty busy, and keeping my calendars full. But, I've been just trying to, grow that. So then I got more into making courses and learning about marketing and learning about advertising and starting to do webinars and, getting more people, more sales, like one-to-many versus one-to-one. And now it's kind of like I got a bunch of subscribers. I got the in-person stuff, and then I got the VIP stuff that I do for my high-end clients. So.
Yeah, so it like on average, I know you might have different packages. What's an maybe pricing around for in-person, and then what does that look like? Is it like an 8-week, commitment? Is it 12, whatever? And then you're online with its courses. Is it like done for you? And then what does some of that pricing look like?
Like my low ticket is gonna be like I have a certain funnel where you can do the course for like $39 a month. Super cheap, right? And then I have another one where they want to do the Zooms. That's like $97. So it's like more of a bump from there. And then for the in-person stuff, the packages range around $2,000, and that gets you about 24 sessions. And it's a combination of in-person, semi-privates, group classes, and then online Zooms. So everything's kind of group format, so it allows me to kind of like put more people on the calls, put more people in the groups, and I can do more one-to-many. And then I have the VIP, which is me, and then I charge like $1,000 for like an hour and a half to come through.
That's good.
And I'll do like a 5-pack of that, but I don't have a lot of clients. I do that mostly for like my more upscale clients. I mean, for me, as an operator, I'm always doing everything else. So
the classes you do in person specifically, do the owners come to the class and they're learning, or is it more, hey, like you take my dog and you fix it?
Well, the best results are going to come from learning how to handle, right? So you are at your house every day with your dog. I mean, I could take your dog, train it, but not my dog. That dog knows what I know and it knows what you know. And it's going to start playing you when it sees that you don't know much, right? So we always have to teach our clients what they're supposed to do, and that's always going to give us the best results, honestly. The board and train is for people who are busy, so we'll keep the dogs and we'll do like $6,000 and keep the dogs for 30 days and then give them back their dog and then do some follow-up training. And then, those are pretty much like the way I try to keep it simple, man. You give them too many options, they get confused, you know.
Right.
So I just, have the in-person and the board and train. But even the board and train I'm starting to get away from because just liability, having multiple dogs, having to have overnight stay and having more employees. Like I'm really, 2025 is about really pivoting to the digital space, and I'm building out funnels that I'm going to be really putting a lot of money into and getting those going, you know.
That's amazing. So how big is your team? So it sounds like mostly it's been brick and mortar. You're now pivoting to online. How big is your team to run your brick and mortars right now? Like how many people do you need? Or is it just all dog trainers, or like what other pieces do you need to run this type of business?
Of course, I have my trainers. I have maintenance staff who do more lower tier stuff to maintain dogs. I have admin to run all the, back end. Then I have my back end people, my people who build out my advertising, my landing pages. So go high level, my automations, all that stuff. Then I have my editor or my videographer who's making, shooting content and cutting content. And then I have, of course, my ads team, so my guy who's running all my media buying stuff. And just other than that, man, I'm really trying to cut down, It's like, that's the goal, man, because you make money, you end up spending a lot of it. You're just like, what's the point of working so hard? So I'm trying to minimize costs, but at the same time, I look out for a couple people who they're always going to have a job because I'm just, I have to have a crew, right. The guys who actually got to do stuff on the ground. So
if one of the listeners is hearing this and they're trying to start a brick and mortar business, what are some tips you would give them in today's age on how to market it? And let's say they're starting from scratch. They don't, they're not working with celebrities. They don't really have, any of that. What would you say to do to try to get the business to move?
Take all of your free routes. For example, I was posting shit on Craigslist, So, you take everything that's free. The clients that you get the testimonials, you get the content out of that. You get the Yelp reviews, you get the Google reviews. You reach out to all your people that you exhaust your own list. You make content, shoot content that's free. You make content because even if people find you, they're going to go look you up. And when they find you, what are they going to see? So I think it's good to have a solid digital footprint and just make sure that everything is 5-star as much as possible. Of course, you can't manage it as you get bigger. Sometimes people are just going to be hating, give you a 1-star review because they had someone talk to them crazy on the phone. You know what I mean? But just try to look clean as a whistle, and just have, like I said, post every day. And then if you can, hire a media buyer, start doing local ads and start to get your name out there. But it's really I think there's a lot of people getting this business. I'm a grinder, bro. So it didn't matter what business I was going to be in. I just grind different, I have a different kind of hustle in me. So, the hustle's always sold separately. You know what I mean? A lot of people have this idea of being a dog trainer and they want to help and do all this stuff, but you have to constantly get new clients.
Yeah, there's a difference. I think that's the key point for the listener is there's a difference between being a dog trainer and then being the business owner. And right. I think a lot of times what people get caught in is they fall in love with being the dog trainer, but they forget that's the easiest part. But you got to go and get the clients. And I think a lot of people fall into that trap. And that probably is what gives you an advantage, because if they're not willing to do both, they're not going to be very successful because they're not going to actually grow the business. It's just kind of like a hobby at that point.
Right. Well, that's the thing. They treat it like a hobby. They forget that they're in business. For example, the bite work, the protection work, it looks great. It's, wow, look at that. It looks great to you. But from some lady who has this little barking Yorkie, she's like, bro, I'm not coming to you. I'm not doing that. This has nothing to do with anything I want, So you have to be careful about what you perceive online, because now people are going to say, oh, well, that's what he does. And they think I do that, and I don't even show that. You can't even find any protection, really, because I'm always doing all the stuff for my audience, right? Yeah. But people still think. They think canine. They think, and it's just and then I see a lot of young trainers and they're struggling for business, but they're not showing people what they need. They're just doing what they love and what they think looks cool. So it's almost like if you're trying to get the girl, dress the part, look the part, smell the part. Don't try to be all tough and rugged, they're not gonna like that. You see what I mean? So it's really about appealing to your customer and just, really good customer service and making sure that, again, you're running it like a business and not a hobby.
Does your average customer have more just, oh, my dog, it's not sitting, it's barking, or is it usually people are like, hey, I want someone to like protect my household?
No, it's very small percentage of protection dogs.
Got it.
Right? It's like I'm with the top Miami police dog trainer right before this meeting,
wow.
and we see eye to eye. He's the OG. He knows all my teachers and everything, and it's like we just hit it off great. And we were having these conversations, and it's the liability that comes with having a certain caliber of dog and effort that it takes to maintain one of these dogs. A lot of people don't have the time and don't have the energy to do that. So most of my stuff is because I don't have to do it, and I like to train my team to do the training. I do mostly just the behavior and the obedience.
Perfect.
It's just kind of like my buddy always one time he says, "Don't go for the needle in the haystack, go for the hay," right? And I just kind of like it's not that I just want to be boring, but that's what people need. You know what I mean? If I want to go play protection dog, I go play protection dog. But if I'm trying to make some money, then I need to be able to, fulfill the demand,
You have a pretty big social media following, pretty engaged. I was going through it today, and it's entertaining to say the least. I think especially how you present yourself, it's funny to me. So, what are some tips that you can give people in terms if they're trying to grow their social media following, they're trying to grow their brand? What are some things you've learned over the years that really work, and then things, hey, don't do this, but definitely do this?
Well, I think social media is kind of at a place where you have to be a little bit polarizing. You have to do something that's going to, scroll stopping. You have to be bold. You have to be, like Eddie Malouf says, right, bold and disruptive, right? So you have to do things that people aren't going to say, and they go, oh, shit. And then they listen. They go, oh, wow, you're really smart. But like sometimes like with my content, I'll hook them because there's so many content creators. There's so much information out there. You need to be able to stop people, and you need to have something that's going to get their attention. And then you have to have good information to give them that's going to keep you. You might stop them, but if you're just talking some bullshit, they're going to keep scrolling after that. So it's about being able to stop them, be able to give them a whole earful of information, and then reward them at the end. And I feel like that's like the best content strategy for me right now. It's like you really got to have that hook, retain, reward kind of format.
Is there a specific way you come up with it? So do you go and you plan it all out, or is it all off the cuff? Do you have someone on your team go find the content? Like, how do you come up with your content ideas?
So generally what I'll do is I'll just kind of like, as you make certain content, you like certain content, they feed you certain content. So now I get a lot of stuff. Plus when you make content, you start to get your audience, your community starts to send you stuff like, oh, remix this, remix that. So sometimes I'll get content that people want to see, and then I'll kind of remix it. Or I'll just find stuff like this is a good example of something that I want to teach about, right? So I'll take whatever, and I don't care who it is. And sometimes you get creators who get all, their community gets in their feelings. They're like, well, you didn't watch the whole video. And I'm like, bro, I don't care. I just needed that clip, bro. I don't even care who this is, bro. I'm just using this clip because it was on the internet, and I'm gonna say something about it. And if you like it, cool. If not, whatever, right? I'm just gonna do me. And that just seems to be, I'll do it all. Usually when I make content, I usually do it all in one day. In the week, I have like my content day.
Even with all those dogs, because it's like some videos you have this type of dog and this type of dog. So, you do it all in one day?
Usually I kind of just look at, okay, where are we going to shoot? What dogs do we have available? And I'll try to say like, for example, I had Kylie's dogs. Like, oh, let's make a bunch of little dog content. I got her assistants, 2 Frenchies. Plus I had...
Of course, they got Frenchie. I feel like every girl in the world has a Frenchie at this point.
Yeah. Well, Kylie has the Dachshunds. And they were like... They were barkers at first, right? But we calmed that down. And like I said, I usually don't let dogs stay at my house, and I let Kylie's young dogs come stay at the crib. But I was like, bro, it's Kylie, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like...
I'll make an exception.
Yeah, I'll make an exception, right? So, but yeah, like I said, I'll just kind of look at what I have and where I am and whatever's going on. If I might look and see some current posts that are kind of trending, and I'll, remix it. But yeah, I just try to just... come up with more relatable stuff. Like, you have to be relatable. Like, sometimes people want to go off some deep end, you'll lose people. Like, you got to keep it down to like a 3rd, 4th grade level, bro. You know what I mean? Like, your content has to be able to because otherwise it gets way over people's heads if you try to go into too much detail.
Yeah, your personality seems a little bit more straightforward. Does that help you kind of navigate social media as well? Because like you'll get comments and this and that, and it seems to me your personality is like, look, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. If they got a problem, fuck it, I don't care. Like, and does that seem to help you quite a bit?
Yeah, bro, just be organic. I mean, I know my shit. You know what I mean? So anything I'm saying is not like something I pulled out my ass. You know what I mean? Like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this dog stuff. And like I said, a lot of people it resonates with, and I say the shit that some people don't want to say, or I make the I'll touch on the topics that people don't want to talk about, and sometimes you got to hit people with those pain points, and that's going to make them stop scrolling and say, oh shit, I'm actually dealing with this and I need help. And a lot of people need help, bro. There's such a high demand for like, people can't even get out their house. They won't even leave their apartment because they're anxious about their dog going off on a dog in the elevator or whatever, So it's so bad. And there's just an unlimited amount of business, man. And my goal is to cut the euthanization rate by half. So I'm trying to get my training to be accessible to everybody, And this is, hopefully we can get this in-home training thing going on to everybody. And again, with more shows that we're making and things like that, we're really just trying to, like I said, educate the people, man, and do God's work.
I love it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you got two kiddos.
Yeah. Jasir and Nyla. Jasir, he was born on the show on Netflix.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So it was like, it was really cool, man, to introduce my son to the world on, on Netflix. But my kids are my everything, bro.
Yeah,
it's
you have a lot of wholesome content where they're in the videos and they're like doing it with you. I really love that. So how do you balance, family life and also running a successful business? Especially, I can tell you're very type A, you're very aggressive. So, you're probably the type of guy who always thinks he's not doing enough, but then you're also trying to make sure your family gets your time. Like, how do you balance that?
Shit, bro. So I just got to do it. It's like Nike, bro. You just do it, Usually it's like, I got certain things that are like pretty, non-negotiable. Like I'm really locking in on the fitness, locking in on content, locking in on time to work on my offers, locking in, and then locking in time for the kids, like don't bother me on the weekends. That's my kids' time. Or, when it's soccer time, like I check out. It's soccer time, soccer dad. You know what I mean? So it really just comes down to, putting things, the priorities in order, and a lot of times I don't have a lot of time to do other shit. So it's like I'm either hustling with the fam, or I'm, trying to travel, see some new shit, or, reading, trying to learn some stuff. So yeah, bro, when you're an entrepreneur, bro, there's usually not a lot of time to chill, bro. The thing is, I have a client named Robert Parrott, bro. And I don't know if you heard of him, but he owns a company called Ubiquity Network. Okay. Right? And he owns the Memphis Grizzlies. And he stumbled into
He makes a little money.
Bro, just like 14 billion, right? He's chipped up, right? So he comes in there, and when I met him, he comes into my shop. He had this Great Dane in an I-8. And he's super just casual dude, bro. And I didn't even know who he was. I'm like,
I think who is probably hitting the ceiling, right?
Right, but the dog was huge in there. But he just comes in like almost after hours out of my shop, and he signs up for the training. And when I realized who he was, I was like, oh shit, right? It's pretty cool. So then we started to vibe and get cool. And he gave me a lot of confidence, bro. He really one time we hung out, and he says, bro, like, he's like, bro, if you have my resources, you'll be unstoppable. And when a billionaire tells you that, bro, you're like, oh shit, I'm a bad motherfucker, right? Yeah. And it really took it to him. And then he told me, like, build brand equity and build your community. And I think like I didn't do as much of the digital stuff as I want yet, but I've been building that brand equity, and a lot of people know who Cali Canine is, and again, I'm like I said, it's just like I have my whole blueprint for what I was gonna do digital from 10 years ago, right? But I just never really knew the back end. I knew like they had Infusionsoft, but I didn't know all the back end. Right. I'm like, bro, who the fuck's gonna set this up for me? And now like things are easier, and again, after you go through 20 million agencies and you get burned by a few, you start to learn some shit. And yeah, bro, just like I said, now it's just like it's all up when it comes to like the branding. And these guys making $1 million a month on e-com, and it's like it's big shit going on now. So now I'm like, all right, now it's time to like cut back on the brick and mortar and really get these other.
Well, and the good news is you have a great base, and building an organic audience is actually harder. And sometimes I'll meet business owners who don't understand that because they haven't been in digital yet. But the cool part is, like, if you can build that organic audience, that is actually a lot more valuable typically, because if you're running ads, and I don't know what you get in a month in impressions, let's just say you get 2 million impressions a month in ads, that's $40,000 a month minimum.
Right.
Right. And so a lot of times when you start pushing the digital, you have all those free eyeballs. And then as you get that money, that kind of is the money for ads. And then it just snowballs.
Right.
You're actually in a great position. You know, you may not know it, but you're actually primed for that. And that's actually something that the guys who do get in digital marketing, they're always almost going backwards, where they learn the ads first and then they're going back and trying to build the brand. Right. So you actually do the hardest thing first.
Right.
Which will work out in your favor.
Yeah. And like I said, now I'm like comfortable spending, you know, 1,000 or 2,000. Now I'm like, I can't wait to spend, like, cause I do some brand deals with some different companies and they're spending $100K a day.
Right.
You know, so once you realize like, oh, this is what scale. Remember, I didn't know what scaling meant, and now I see these guys scaling to the highest level, and I'm like, oh shit, like I'm trying to be on that side, you know. So yeah, man, like I said, it's just a fun ride, bro. For me, it's like I play a game, you know. It's like I have everything I want, you know. I have the Lambo, I have the Rollies, I have the houses, I've had the fat house, I have, you know, the kid, the family, all this shit. So now it's just like a game to be played, bro. Just like.
And then is your goal to try to just like take over essentially, like now in digital, where you just become the number one guy in digital?
That's kind of where I'm going, bro.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going, you know. And again, I'm not really like a competition with anybody, bro. It's more of myself, you know what I mean? It's just like it's like how focused can I get to get all this shit done? So again, I'm like just trying to be the best version of me, get more sharp, learn before I earn, you know. And like I said, a lot of this digital stuff has been a learning experience, and it's great because now I know like kind of, you know, how to read your analytics and things like that. I had no idea doing back in the day, you know? So it's been kind of cool to learn this part.
What are some non-negotiables in your life that you feel have made you successful? It could be anything. It could be from routine. It could be from certain things you've done in your business, things with your family, your faith. Like, what are some non-negotiables that you feel like, man, that's absolutely, you know, giving me an edge and made me more successful than the average person?
Yeah, I think just keeping your foot on the gas, bro. Like, I don't really do the games. I don't play video games. I don't watch games. I mean, I'll hang out with the fellas, you know, and watch a game, but I'm just not so consumed by the outside distractions. I mean, a lot of things that I train, like I preach with dog training is like the same as how I try to live, you know? So you want to be as distraction free and more focused as possible, and, you know, do things with intention, and do things, you know, with speed, and not be procrastinating. And like I said, getting your body together, getting your, just your priorities, like taking care of your family, you know, like really I get a lot of joy out of just watching my kids, bro, and spending time with my children and watching my kids, like, you know, want to be like dad and want to, you know what I mean? Like not being this bad example, you know? So it's like when you have children, and it's just like building legacy, bro, it just gives you so much more purpose, you know, when you like, you know, you got to like, all right, I told my daughter, like, you're going to run the real estate empire, and Jaja, you'll run the digital business. And it's just like really like standing on that. Like I have to provide and protect for my family, bro. It's like, as a man, it's like a true like fulfillment, bro. I'm fulfilled, you know, like by having the family and by having the business. So like I said, bro, it's just a game, bro. I'm just chilling. Like,
did you always want to have kids in a family, or was it something that you were kind of thinking of putting on hold for the business? Like when did you actually start having kids and you decided you were going to have a family? Like, were you in a good spot financially with the business, or was it kind of like still starting? Because I know some entrepreneurs, they struggle with that. That's even something I've thought about, because, you know, kids are great, but when you commit to something, I'm sure it's a lot of work, you know? And so having a kid, you know, if you want to be a good dad, I'm sure it's like, it's 100 or 0 and you're going really hard. So was there a transition period for you, or like, how did you decide when to have kids?
I paid for my mom all expensive paid trip to Morocco for my mom on Mother's Day.
Love that.
You know, and we went to we went to every part of Morocco. And I met this girl walking down the street who didn't even speak English. You know, I just was like, I had to get on her, bro. Shorty was cute, right? And it ended up being my wife, bro. You know what I mean? I ended up marrying this girl later, but like...
Didn't speak any English.
Didn't speak English, but it was just like, it was something about the challenge, bro. And then it's like out there, it's like they're not not tainted, bro. They're still underneath their family until like they do get married.
Guys.
And they're not just out here wilding, you know. And I'm looking at like today's society, like, bro. And then I want to have children, right, and I want to build a family. But I mean, I was kind of in a stage where I was kind of like playing the field or whatever. But I just felt like it was like, you know, God like gave me an opportunity to like get something good, and I just jumped on it, man. Like I said, my faith, you know, I'm a Muslim, you know, and I think that like, you know, having a good wife is like half of your religion. You know what I mean? Like getting a wife and getting married is half your religion. So I felt like that was just gonna be like, I get major blessings for that, you know? And again, out there, like women are kind of raised to be wives, you know what I mean? Whereas a lot of the independent mindset and, all of this equal, all of this, stuff that's going on, is not so much going on out there, and it's kind of like girls are still, want to be wholesome. They want to be feminine. They want to be, nurturing. And they, so that's really cool when they have that in them, and it's kind of like ingrained in them, and so my wife is great, but she's my partner. She helps me with the business. I mean, she's pretty much in charge of, cutting all the checks, making sure the money's flowing how it's supposed to, running my kids, and making sure that's, that's a whole operation,
Of course.
So yeah, bro, it's, like I said, man, the family life, bro, it's definitely high value, bro. And a lot of people, they try to like breeze past it. They don't, I don't want to have kids, or I just want to live it up. But it's like, you really don't know happiness, bro, until you got your little one like sitting there looking at you in there, in the eyes going like, I love you, daddy. Like unconditional love, bro. It's different,
Wow, that's amazing. So I heard you say you're Muslim. Did you grow up Muslim? Did you convert?
Yeah, so my name is Jas Leverette, right? Salah is a Muslim name, right, from birth, right? So my father, he grew up under the Nation of Islam in New York, right? So you kind of like Louis Farrakhan and the whole like kind of black Muslim movement, right? But then my mom, she was more like, knew more about like Orthodox Islam, but she didn't really press religion on me. I didn't even really like have knowledge of self like that. It was just like, for me, I knew I was kind of like, had a different kind of faith than a lot of my friends growing up, but I didn't really know, like, they didn't really press it on me, but it was when I really, came to a Muslim country and really saw what the religion was and really saw what it was, man, I just embraced it and knew that I was like, okay, this is strong right here. A lot of people, they try to put a black cloud of Islam, and it's like, it's peace, it's love. I mean, when you say salam alaikum, it's like, peace, my brother. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want nothing bad for you, only good. Like, we'll help you. You know what I mean? Like, Muslims work together. They help each other. They, you know what I mean? The morals and values are tight. And sometimes I feel like it's a threat. Just like a lot of times people feel intimidated because someone walks in the room and they're like bigger and badder and they feel like threatened by them. And sometimes I just feel like, there's a black cloud over Islam, and there's all this stuff that's going on in the Middle East right now. It's just like, what's going on, bro? Like, why are they doing this to these people? And like I said, man, the faith was just something that, is just kind of one of my pillars of my system. Even my dog training system is 5-pillar system, and there's 5 pillars in Islam. So I kind of like my little touch on it through my system.
Well, I think a lot of times people fear things they don't understand,
right?
And to be quite frank, I mean, even in school, there's not like a whole lot of teaching on religion, right? And so usually it's just whatever religion you get brought up into. Now, I don't know tons about Islam. Are there different sects? Because sometimes I'll hear some like the only one that I've heard of is like there'll be one where you can have multiple wives, or you can do this or that. So is there different levels and sects that you can get into, or is it all the same? Or
well, Islam, it broke off into 2 sectors early on, and when it pretty much within a few years of really being established, you have the Shia and the Sunni, and then you have like kind of just like how Christianity has like the Baptists, and then they have the Catholics, so it's kind of like similar to that. But the thing about the Quran is it really was never rewritten. It was never like recut. I mean, you have certain people who have more of a school of thought, but it's kind of all goes back to Quran. And back to your question was,
so it's just like, are there different sects? Like, is it like some people do this, some do that, or like going back to Christianity, which I know a little better? You said like you have Baptist and Presbyterian, and like some are super serious to the book, and some are like, I'm Christian, but they don't really do anything. Is it kind of similar like that?
Yeah. You have super conservative people who like do everything to the Quran. And I think that's where people have a problem, because a lot of times, people are looking at this crazy world of all this stuff that's going on in the world, and then a lot of people's belief systems like, yo, it's because we don't have this old school belief system, and it's got so everybody's gone so astray. Then you have people who are kind of like evolving. You have a lot of Muslims who they're Muslim in their heart, but they drink alcohol, right? And you're not supposed to consume pork or alcohol, but most Muslims don't eat pork at all. But enough Muslims who are gonna, have a drink with their friends or whatever like that. But you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. You're supposed to, visit Hajj. You're supposed to go to Hajj and go to Saudi Arabia one time in your life. You're supposed to give zakat. So you're supposed to give 2% of your income away to the needy. right? You're supposed to, like I said, you're supposed to pray, right? And you're supposed to believe in the Shahada, right? Which is like, Muhammad is a messenger, one of the prophets. And the thing that a lot of people tend to attack Muslims, well, Muslims love Jesus Christ. Like Muslims believe in Jesus Christ as a prophet, but that's like, then they start talking about all the things of the Muslim prophet, or how he did this and he had this wife and this. And it's just like, nobody's coming for Christianity like that. Muslims don't come for Christianity. Muslims accept Christianity. They accept Judaism. You know what I mean? It is like, that's okay. You know what I mean? But it's like, a lot of times it's like attack on Islam. It's like, damn, what did they do to you? And what I believe it was like, there was a golden era, like the golden era of Islam. Like a lot of people don't know who Mansa Musa is. Well, he was the richest man in the world, richer than Bezos. He had more gold he was a Mali king. And he gave away so much money in zakat, he threw off the whole economy because he gave away so much gold on his way to go to Mecca, to Hajj, right? And again, people don't know who Mansa Musa is. And he was like a super successful Muslim in the 1200s. All you hear about is Columbus in 1492.
Right.
Well, guess what was happening before? Islam ruled Spain. And they got pushed back out into Africa and then pushed kind of out. I mean, Islam owned Constantinople. I mean, Islam had full rule for a long time. So I just feel like they don't want that to ever happen again. You know what I mean? It's just like, a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's almost like it's still kind of a holy war going on,
Yeah, so usually my perception, because again, I don't know that much, but my perception is usually people will try to mix like Islam with the Taliban. So like there's something about the Taliban on TV, they're like, oh, that's like has a lot to do with Islam, right? So from your perspective, because you're raised in that, like is that just because it's over in the same area, or is it because like the Taliban is just like super extremist of Islam?
Yeah, it's like, like I said, the Taliban, a lot of times, you have these groups that are just like trying to like maintain order, and then you have ones that are a little bit more extreme than others, and then you have people like, you have what you call like the jihad, like people feel like there's a holy war, like they feel like they still fighting,
like they gotta like spread it,
well, no, because it's like, this is the thing, like if you get attacked, like what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? So you got those people like, no, we're getting attacked. Like, you got to remember, bro, like they start dropping bombs 2001 in Iraq and Afghanistan, bro. It's 2025. You know what I'm saying? Like 25 years later, they're still dropping bombs every day in Middle East. You know what I mean? So it's just like, a lot of people feel like, okay, like where do we draw the line? And then, okay, well, you can only be beat up so bad before you want to fight back. So again, and then a lot of times they'll just paint the picture that, they just want to keep everybody scared. And then again, this is how capitalism works. This is how they control the people. This is how they get people, to be, don't know what side to do. It's like all this, is it Democrat? Is it Republican? Is it this? Is it non-binary? Is it this? Is that? Like everybody's just kind of like all over the place, bro. And then again, it just makes people dependent on the government. It makes people dependent on media. It keeps everybody spending money. It keeps everybody feeling nervous and feeling insecure. You know what I mean? So it's just like with the dogs, right? It's like the whole goal is to have confidence and be self-assured and be able to, not be insecure. And
yeah, I just want to ask you about that because I don't usually get to meet too many people who are practicing Islam or whatnot. And, it's something I need to learn more about. I need to like actually investigate it more myself. But Jas, dude, awesome having you on the show. If people want to find out more about you or like how to train their dogs or like find your programs, like where's the best place they can go?
CaliCanine.com. I mean, I'm sure, once you start following me, you'll probably start getting my ads. And, yeah, man, just, you just jump in my DM. We got people, on all, all our lead magnets and everything to come on in. So yeah, man, if just, DM us or, go to the website or subscribe to our courses and, learn how to train your dog the Cali Canine way. I'm very prideful in my system, man. The shit works, and then it was cool because like I said, even today I went to the top canine OG and we just seeing eye to eye. It's just like, see, it's all good. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just glad I have something of value to give to the people because a lot of people just selling bullshit. Everybody's trying to sell how to be a pickup artist or how to be, not to get, this is like, like, come on, bro. Did you not learn that shit in high school, bro? Like, but again, this is the society that we're living in, you know what I mean? So people just selling whatever on the internet. I'm glad I have something of substance that I know, like, I'm not just hustling folks.
And it's needed and it's helping people. And I like it too because you know, some of the businesses that do the absolute best, it's just not what you would, it's not like the typical business people go for. So like, you're like, I'm going to start a business. All right, I'm going to build a marketing agency, or I'm going to build this. And so what is nice is it gives you a competitive advantage because most people don't pick that business. So already there's less competition. And then on top of that, the ones who are good at dog training, maybe they don't want to learn the business side. And then ultimately, like, you have to learn it to be successful. So I think it gives you a super competitive advantage, and good for you, because it's needed and there needs to be someone doing it and no one's really doing it. And so it just gives you kind of that leverage to like go over and take over the market. So I hope you do.
Yeah, and I'm open like for people who want to reach out to me and you guys think you can bring a bunch of audience and affiliate or whatever the case may be. Come on, man, let's partner, let's do a deal, you know, because that's for me, man. Like I have, you know, different rev share partnerships, man. And it's you know, a lot, you can't do everything. You can't be an expert at everything. So I always welcome experts in their field. Like I got guys who are really good with Discord, or guys who are really good with courses, or guys who are really good with, you know, just whatever, e-com. I'm open to all that because at the end of the day, you know, I'm just trying to, like I said, get the message out there and get more dogs trained.
I love it, man. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man, definitely,
All
man.
right.
All right.
Appreciate it.